Chapter 27. When Isaac was old, and his eyes were so weak that he could not see, he called his older son Esau, and said to him, "My son." And he answered, "Here I am." He said, "Look, I am old, and do not know the day of my death. So now take your hunting gear, your quiver and bow, and go out into the field to hunt some game for me. Then make me a delicious meal that I love, and bring it to me to eat, so that I can bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening to what Isaac said to his son Esau. So while Esau went to the field to hunt some game to bring in, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Listen, I heard your father talking with your brother Esau. He said, 'Bring me game and make a delicious meal for me to eat so that I can bless you in the Lord's presence before I die.' Now, my son, listen to me and do what I tell you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, and I will make them into a delicious meal for your father, the kind he loves. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies." Jacob answered Rebekah his mother, "Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, but I am a man with smooth skin. Suppose my father touches me, then I will be revealed to him as a deceiver, and bring a curse rather than a blessing on myself." His mother said to him, "Your curse be on me, my son. Just obey me, and go get them for me." So he went and got the goats and brought them to his mother, and his mother made the delicious food his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of her older son Esau, which were in the house, and had her younger son Jacob wear them. She put the skins of the young goats on his hands and the smooth part of his neck. Then she handed the delicious food and the bread she had made to her son Jacob. When he came to his father, he said, "My father." And he answered, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob replied to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How did you ever find it so quickly, my son?" He replied, "Because the Lord your God made it happen for me." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come closer, so I can touch you, my son. Are you really my son Esau or not?" So Jacob came closer to his father Isaac. When he touched him, he said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. Again he asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" And he replied, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it closer to me, and let me eat some of my son's game, so that I can bless you." Jacob brought it closer to him, and he ate. He brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Please come closer and kiss me, my son." So he came closer and kissed him. When Isaac smelled his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give to you, from the dew of the sky and from the richness of the land, an abundance of grain and new wine. May peoples serve you, and nations bow in worship to you. Be master over your relatives. May your mother's sons bow in worship to you. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed." As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had left the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau arrived from his hunting. He had also made some delicious food, and brought it to his father. He said to his father, "Let my father get up and eat some of his son's game, so that you may bless me." But his father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" He answered, "I am Esau, your firstborn son." Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably. "Who was it then," he said, "who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it all before you came in, and I blessed him. Indeed, he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he cried out with a loud and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he replied, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." So he said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? For he has cheated me twice now. He took my birthright, and look, now he has taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you saved a blessing for me?" But Isaac answered Esau, "Look, I have made him a master over you, have given him all of his relatives as his servants, and have sustained him with grain and new wine. What then can I do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." And Esau wept loudly. His father Isaac answered him, "Look, your dwelling place will be away from the richness of the land, away from the dew of the sky above. You will live by your sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you rebel, you will break his yoke from your neck." Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. And Esau determined in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are approaching. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." When the words of her older son Esau were reported to Rebekah, she summoned her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Listen, your brother Esau is consoling himself by planning to kill you. So now, my son, listen to me. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him for a few days until your brother's anger subsides, until your brother's rage turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send for you and bring you back from there. Why should I lose you both in one day?" So Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm sick of my life because of these Hethite girls. If Jacob marries someone from around here, like these Hethite girls, what good is my life?"
Now we are in chapter 27 of the book of Genesis, and this chapter, in my opinion, is just full of family drama. Basically, it's full of lies, deceptions, anger, hatred, even intent to kill. I was like, whoa, what a way to step out of God's will. But still, God, in His mercy, still keeps His will in line with this family. So we're going to start with God's character as always. I just wanted to point out, after you've read chapter 27, you will see that while God has a plan for you, He's not going to make you follow His instructions, right? He's going to allow you to do whatever you want to do. You'll face the consequences of whatever it is that you did, because I've always said it before, He's not a forceful God. So He's not going to stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do. Now, He can guide you, He can instruct you, He can teach you, but it's still up to you to decide to follow His instructions. The reason I said that is because of the way that everyone in this family handled the whole situation about blessing and the blessing that was meant for the firstborn. Now, before I continue, I just want to remind us that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a plate of food. And so now we're about to see the consequence of that terrible decision that he made, because he didn't understand that the blessings that he was expecting his father to give him was connected to his birthright. And I think he thought that he was giving up his role as the firstborn because he thought that was his birthright. But birthright also comes with inheritance. It comes with blessings. So he basically gave all of that up without him knowing. All right, so the second thing I want us to talk about is God's will. What do we see as God's will concerning this? Number one, don't go ahead of God. This family went ahead of God and did things the way they wanted to do, even though they knew God's will concerning the children. So when you go ahead of God, it can cause you to compromise yourself. In the case of Abraham, when he went ahead of God, it cost them fidelity with his wife, because he ended up with another woman and had another son for that other woman that he had to send away, along with the other sons he had after Sarah, right? Then in the case of Jacob, what him getting ahead of God did was it caused him to compromise himself by lying and deceiving. For Rebecca, it was her aiding and abetting Jacob's lies and deception. But here's what I think, and this is what I saw as the root cause of this problem was the father. I feel like Isaac was the root cause of this problem, because when God had said to them in Genesis chapter 26 that the younger will be ahead of the older, they should have accepted that, respected that, and followed that instruction. And so when Isaac decided to go bless Esau instead, he was going against God's will. And that thing that he decided to do caused this chain reaction of all these people just walking around in sin, lies, and deception, basically. So your identity in this case is that you should be obedient to God regardless of how you feel about his instructions. So let's look at all the shenanigans that happened with this family, the two parents and the children. First, one of the things that I learned in lessons learned from this chapter is do not show favoritism to your children. If you look in verse 1, it says that Esau was Isaac's favorite son. And in verse 6, Isaac was Rebekah's favorite son. So they already had favoritism. And what favoritism does with your children is it can cause division and competition amongst the children. So instead of the children looking out for each other, loving on each other, and helping each other, they are competing against each other for the affection of the parent that loves them or the parent that loves them less. So please, parents, I use this to beg you, do not show favoritism to your children. Even if you love one child more than the other, don't let them know. Don't show it to them. And also understand that children don't know how to handle rejection in that sense. So if they sense that a parent loves them less than the other parent, they start to feel like they're unworthy or they're not enough. And so they start to try and do things to make them feel like they're enough. So let's be mindful of showing favoritism to our children. We can see that Isaac did with Esau and Rebekah did with Jacob. And then I also wanted to point out in lessons learned that the idea of deception came from Rebekah. She was the one that basically told Jacob exactly what to do, what to say, and how to dress to look like Esau. She cooked the food. She told him to go get the meat. She told him what to tell the father. She basically put the goat skin on him so that Jacob can feel like Esau physically. She pretty much handled the whole deception. She was the mastermind of this deception and lying. Even when Jacob didn't know what to say, it was like, don't worry, I know how to handle this situation. So the other thing that I saw in this was that because of everything that went down with Rebekah and Jacob doing what they did, it caused a discord. Basically, with everything that went down with the entire family, really, it caused a discord between the siblings, where Esau now hated Jacob and had an intention to kill him. You see that in verse 41, where it talks about that. And so what should have happened in all of this situation? Number one, they should have left it to God. they should have just asked for God's guidance on how do we approach this. Because it's evident that Esau would have felt some type of way if Isaac had intently blessed Jacob instead of Esau, right? Even though Isaac accidentally blessed Jacob, it bothered Esau so much. The Bible says that he wept loudly, like he could not control it. So in this type of situation, they should have just asked God for guidance on how to handle it, so that there would be no conflict between the brothers. But instead, they took matters into their own hands, got ideas from each other, and just did their own thing. All right, so move on to the prayer points and then the verse of the day. Number one is you're going to ask God to give you the grace to follow his instructions, regardless of how difficult and uncomfortable it may seem. Now, I believe that Isaac did not want to follow that instruction of blessing the younger one, Jacob, because Esau was his favorite. So he would rather have Esau be the one that receives the blessings that God had intended for Jacob. The other prayer point is you're going to ask God to give you a heart of obedience so that you'll be willing to obey. Because even the Bible says that if you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. Then the third prayer point is you're going to pray that you won't receive bad advice from people, because Rebecca's bad advice caused Jacob, his family, he had to run. He had to run away from his family and go live with his uncle, where he faced another series of events. And he got separated from his family. So let's pray against bad advice. And then you're also going to pray that God will guide you concerning his plan for your life. Because when God has a plan for your life, he has a way of orchestrating it and making that whole thing happen and fall into play nicely, without chaos, without stress, without confusion, without fighting or contention. He knows how to make it happen. So instead of just trying to help God to execute his plan, ask God for his guidance on what he wants you to do or what role you're meant to play in his plan in your life. The last prayer point is you're going to ask God to give you the grace to patiently wait for him. We saw in the case of Abraham, that was what happened, was they didn't really patiently wait per se, and Hagar and Ishmael came into play. But I just put it here also because part of following God's plan and doing God's will, and asking God to guide you in his plan, is the ability to be patient with God. Because God is not in a hurry. He doesn't do things in a rush. So you have to learn to be patient with him. So ask God for the grace to be patient with him. And then we're going to move on to the verse of the day. And let me tell you, I struggled with finding the verse of the day here because all I saw was drama, drama, drama. Oh, no, you can't use that for verse of the day. That is drama. That was a lie. That guy lied, and that one was angry, and that one was thinking about claiming somebody. So eventually I found a verse that I feel like it's a good verse of the day. And that is verse 28, which says, "Now may God give you of the dew of heaven to water your land, and of the fatness, fertility of the earth, and an abundance of grain and new wine." And so let's just hold on to that verse of the day and pray that prayer that God will give you of the dew of heaven to water your land, in whatever case that may be for you. If it is God blessing you in your business, or it's God equipping you in your career, or helping you in your academics, whatever that looks like, and the fatness of the fertility of the earth, as just ask God to bless the work of your hands, to cause you to prosper in everything that you do, an abundance of grain and new wine. Ask God to help you to live in wealth, to dwell in prosperity continuously for the rest of your life, really. That's what strikes me in this verse, which is the verse of the day, And do understand that this is also God's desire for you as well. And so just hold on to that. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today again in reading the Bible with me every day. And so tomorrow we're going to move into chapter 28, where we see Jacob run away from his family and go find a new home somewhere else. All right. I will see you tomorrow and enjoy your day.